So what I'm going to be doing here is on the very bottom sectioning, I'm going to be doing a zigzag technique on the part. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when I'm going to go in there and paint those pieces, I want large areas of high impact. So that's why I'm doing this zigzag parting, so that way I can actually get some really even blending without having to work too hard. So you will see here that I'm using my More paintbrush and I'm just painting the product on the top. And what I want to make sure is that I've got to leave the underneath unsaturated. And the reason why you want to just saturate the top and not the bottom is because that's how you're going to make impact. Dimension is left when you're leaving that hair at the underneath completely natural. So she has brightness, she has those things, but I just need to make sure that I'm going in there and making some impact. So that's why I'm doing surface painting. So when I'm going into my next section, I'm going to take horizontal partings and I'm going to make sure that I'm zigzagging that part. So that way I'm leaving a very natural type brick-lay pattern along the back of the head. So that way a natural fall, her hair will still look blended, her hair will still look great, no matter if she pulls her hair up or she wears it down. So a little tip here when we actually paint the hair. So I'm gonna apply the most of the product at the zone 2. And then I'm gonna feather up and then I'm gonna coat the bottoms of the hair. I'm not going to soak that product at her root because we're wanting it to be very natural and the transition to be very soft at that root down below. So this is so important when you're applying this product. So now we're going into the front sides now. So one of the main things that I'm going to be doing here is I'm doing diagonal sectioning. So you're going to see me start painting the hair, and I'm not trying to, again, I'm not doing the underneath. I'm only doing the top parts of this hair right here. And I'm just going to go through and just surface paint this, and don't mind my assistant, she's in the background. my client jump in just a minute, and it's because we were all watching something on TV. I'm not really sure even what the show was, but it was dramatic and hilarious. So we were all just like trying to work, but we were also listening to the TV as well. So don't mind her, she's fine. Okay, so you're gonna see me split this hair right here in the front, and it's like one big section. I'm splitting it into two. And the reason why I do this is because you have to imagine your client's hair and how it's gonna fall around their face. So I wanted to make sure that she didn't have any dark valleys or holes there. So that's why I split it like that and I placed the lightener like that. So I'm literally going to be doing the same thing on this side, but you're gonna see that in my sectioning, I'm just doing a diagonal back right around her ear and her hairline. Okay, so I want to go ahead and apologize to you guys for this part right here. My assistant was trying to do a bird's eye view, and clearly it's making you dizzy. Like, I feel like I'm watching this from an airplane right now. So, if you get a little dizzy, you can just fast forward this little part right here. But it is kind of important. I want to keep it in here because in painting diagonal, sometimes it's good not to go all the way to the top. You see how I've left some of that dimension in the middle? It's important to have those pieces in there, and it's important not to paint everything the same, especially when it goes around your face. Okay, so now this is the finished painting over the entire head. And so you notice how as we get to her root, we're softly blending that up. So it looks like we just did highlights everywhere and we're oversaturating the ends so that way we can get that impact that we want. We left the underneath completely alone so that way you don't have to deal with it being so blonde. So here I'm just showing you what she looks like immediately after we've rinsed her. We didn't pre-tone her, we didn't do anything, we just shampooed the lightener out, and then we're going straight in and we're gonna be doing our red formula.
Transition.
That's a good start, right? Today's Amy's surgery day, and we're going to do a robotic-assisted room line gastric bypass. Not only does she have a lot of weight to lose, she's got a lot of medical problems that we need to get rid of. Like
I'm just going to blend it up. I think I'm going to use my hands so you can zoom in on this part. So I'm going to marry the two transitions together. So we have the root, and then we have this mid-strand, zone 2, zone 3. So I'm going to put our color on zone 2. And I'm just going to marry those together so that way they'll melt together. So this is our zone 1 formula. So I'm going to go in and just make sure that that root is saturated. And then I'm going to take this. And because this naturally on this part of her head, she's going to be darker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and drag the zone 1 formula down just a little bit for dimension. And I'm just going to go a little bit to where you see where I lightened it. So that way you can kind of deepen and darken and have a different color here. And then I'm going to go in with my zone 2 formula. Zone 2 and 3 and just drag it. Make sure that I'm saturating it really well. And I'm going to drop my section. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a section, a triangle section right here. Right here. And I'm going to drag this zone 1 formula all the way down. So I'm not going to put another formula. I'm just going to do my root formula all the way down. And the reason why I do this every once in a while is to give it some type of dimension where she doesn't look so solid. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to take a horizontal section. And now that we're getting higher up, I'm literally just going to take a little bit of that color and just kind of drag it down. And then I'm going to come in at that transition and just feather and really apply a lot. And I'm just going to take my finger and just transition it. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to apply zone 2 and 3 all the way down.
You see her?
My dog.
Oh, she's crying like that a little bit.
So then I'm going to do the same thing here.
Okay. Alright. Oh gosh,
Oh.
okay.
So nice. Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
So I'm going to apply zone 1 here. And I'm going to drag it down. So I'm going to take my zone 2 and 3 formula. and just drag it down. So I'm gonna go in here and just make sure that it's all applied. So you see where this right here is all applied here. So then what I'm gonna do is just make sure that this is farther enough down, because when you're going into the back of someone's head, this is gonna be the darkest part of them. So you don't wanna have this so bright in the back. So to keep it natural and to keep it more believable, we're gonna go in there and just make sure that we balance out what would be light and what would be dark. So I'm just taking that zone 1 formula and I'm gonna kind of just resaturate to make sure that it's all, I'm sorry. And then I'm gonna go in here with my zone 2 and 3 formula. And I'm just gonna go in there and just make sure that I transition that really well. Okay, so then the same little triangle part that I put over here, I'm gonna put on this side, so that way we don't lay them together. So I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna take the same spot here, and I'm gonna carry it all the way down. Because the one thing you don't want to do. What happened?
Sorry, he like just stabbed her stomach. Sorry.
Oh. So then we're gonna just do zone 1 here. Braden nodding because she's like, okay.
Yeah. Any more? Come on, girl.
You just like
Educate me.
stuck something right through her stomach. Sorry. No, you're good.
So now that we're going up higher in the head, I'm going to not drag zone 1 too much further. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that 1 inch away from our scalp, zone 1, and I'm gonna go in and saturate this really well. I need to make sure this is all saturated. So what's gonna happen is on some of the tones that were not bleached, on some of these tones that were kind of darker, they're gonna have a copper tone. They're just not gonna be completely as bright as her highlighted pieces will be. So that's where you're gonna have some dimension created there. So again, I'm just marrying those two transitions together. So my zone 1's here, my zone 2 and 3 is here. And I just make sure that it has even saturation. I'm gonna do the same thing here.
Right there. That's great. Thank you. So the difference between the bypass versus the...
And you just want to make sure that your strand is super saturated.
About 2/3 of the stomach, leaving a long narrow tube. For the gastric bypass, we're actually going to...
That's what you want. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna frame her area that we're gonna be coloring for this side. So what I did was I went ahead and colored this other side. So we're gonna show you how we're gonna do this side. So I'm gonna go and take zone 1 formula, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit her roots everywhere. So I'm just gonna frame this section out so that way when I go in there and add in the other formula, it'll already be done. So I'm not using any kind of clips or any kind of sectioning with this. I'm taking diagonal back sections. I'm just gonna go through and hit the root with zone 1 formula. I'm just going in and hitting that root.
Because it's been a week since I had surgery and I have a post-op.
So I'm taking like 1/2 inch sections here.
The thing I want to hear is I'm good to go home and my belly is healing really well.
Just making sure I can see through my sections. So I'm just gonna go in here. I'm not trying to fade anything. I'm not trying to blend anything. I'm literally just going through here and hitting these areas. And so I'm gonna go through here and make sure it has even saturation through here. Okay, so then I'm gonna go through now and start my sectioning. So of course we have our horizontal section here. So I'm just gonna take a diagonal back section. And because this is around her face, I'm just gonna kind of hit it just a little bit and ease that transition. And I'm gonna go with my zone 2 and 3 formula. And I'm literally just gonna hit right here. I'm gonna take my brush and I'm literally going to feather it.
And then I'm going to feather it up.
And I'm very disappointed that a week after a gastric bypass, when you've got part of your body just saying,
Okay, so then I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to take this section. I'm going to take a horizontal section. What's going to happen when this is colored? When this falls like this, if you look in between, come over here and I'm going to show them from this area. So you look in between this little area here, you're going to have where we did this section and where we did this section. This is extremely important because when it falls, we want to make sure that we have some kind of dimension through here and that it doesn't look too high and light at the top. So we're going to make sure that we have this really kind of further down. So I'm going to go through my zone 1 formula and I'm going to drag it down for dimension. You have to understand where this hair is going to fall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this section and move it over, and I'm going to make sure this is saturated. And I'm going to come in here and feather at this point. Okay, so I'm going to feather that, and then this point here, I'm going to make sure that I drag the zone 1 formula down. Okay, and then I'm going to just put this on the ends. So this is zone 2 and 3 formula, just on the ends there. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. I'm going to lay this up here. Okay, so this is where the food is. Oh, the food. I'm listening to the TV.
She did eat solid food.
She did, I just heard her.
I'm upset.
So, I know. We're squirrel over here. So, okay, so then now, I'm going to go through and feather here. This is where that highlighted piece is that we painted. So I'm going to go through and just make sure that this is super light around her face. And I'm going to go through where this dark point was. I'm going to put zone 1 formula. And I'm going to marry those together.
That's probably pretty curious. But I know it's the beliefs of
You're actually so.
I could have died.
I know.
If the fight was too big, my belly could have exploded.
Exploded.
My life.
Okay, so with this section right here, I'm going to split it up. And I'm going to make this triangle here dark. So I'm going to do zone 1 formula. And I'm going to drag it all the way down for dimension. And then this piece right here, I'm going to hit zone 2 and 3 formula, and I'm just going to marry those together. Okay. So this section right here, we're just going to make sure that it's evenly saturated. Like if there's certain places that you kind of feel needs to be, I'm going to split this in half. Okay, so this is going to be lighter right here underneath, and then on top it's going to be a little bit darker. This is going to be that little pop and that peekaboo.
When we get back to Kentucky, I'm going to double down on this side even harder.
Okay, so then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go bring the zone 1 formula down just a little bit, and then I'm going to come in here, take our zone 2 and 3, and then I'm going to marry it together.
Yeah, we had talked about that. It's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you back here also. I was really concerned when she told me she was going to use some food in there.
Okay, and then we got this piece up here. So what we're going to do is split it in half and just make sure that she's evenly saturated. So see how that's a little on the dry side. So we're going to go in there and reapply zone 1.
Tell me about the changes you made over the last week.
And then I'm going to hit zone 2 and 3. I'm going to marry that together.
Really? That's good. That's
Okay, so do the same thing here.
Alright, just be careful when you get in there.
Our camera lady is cracking out.
I love to hear that because I really want you to have this surgery. I think you need to have this surgery. So I'm glad that I talked so much.
So guys, this dot on the camera is driving me crazy. But I wanted to show you the indoor lighting on this because this was an evening appointment, so clearly we didn't have any daylight after we were done, but I'm going to show you some other pictures too.